Initializing. Okay, that's still too loud. Oh my god. Who needs stream savers anyway? Horace, man 2.0. Solomon Armaros. That guy is definitely bald.
And so, I was born. The first people I remember seeing were the old man, the old lady, and their daughter, Heather. After they'd said hello, the old man powered me down so he could install some software. I could tell they were nice people. The old man didn't give me a silly voice or stupid personality. And the old lady didn't dress me like a clown. Although for some reason, Heather really didn't like me. Once I'd had time to get used to walking, the old man asked me to dash from one end of the room to the other. Next, the old man spent a couple of hours building some wooden platforms. He said he wanted me to jump up them, but I must admit, I was scared. It wasn't until I saw Heather and her mother happily climbing up them that I decided it might be okay.
Oh my god, so far.
The old man then rearranged the platforms. He told me to try to reach the other end of the room without touching the floor. Heather said the floor's made of lava. But when I smiled at her, she just frowned and looked away. The old lady arranged some pillows and blankets. She said it was in case I fell, but I think she just wanted it to look more like lava. When I reached the other side, the old man just smiled and said, "That'll do, for now."
This game is fucking weird. Alright. V-ball. In the chat?
A couple of days after those first lessons, the family had a big meal, and I was introduced to everyone else. The professor was the old man's brother. He was very quiet, and always seemed to just kind of stare at me. He had lived with the old man for 5 years. The house was so huge they barely saw each other. He preferred instead to stay in his room, leaving everything up to his butler, Mr. Deck, as he insisted everyone call him, although the professor always called him Anton. For a while, he called me the yellow bastard, but the old man made him stop, as he thought it sounded racist. Mr. Silton was the old man's driver. Before he worked here, he'd gotten in with some bad people and was the driver in a post office robbery, although it all went wrong for some reason. Mr. Silton showed me a video of his band. I'm sure some people must like it, but I just found it terrifying.
What is going on?
Then there was Alice. She was the cook. She was a nice old lady. When she was younger, she had been a TV chef. Then, years later, she had a small part in Coronation Street. Mr. Silton said, before she worked for the old man, Alice was quite a hoarder. She kept old newspapers and bicycles, and something about a poo in a shoebox. The next morning, the old man gathered everyone together to show them what I was capable of. "What else does he do?" asked Mr. Silton. The old man smiled. "He can help around the house." "Could he help me with my newspaper collecting?" asked Alice. "I'm not sure that's a good idea," said the old lady, "but he can do all sorts of jobs." "Yeah," said Mr. Silton, "shove a stick up his ass and he can do Deck's job." Now, said the old man, "we have company," pointing to some important-looking people. 2 large men, both called Gary, set up what the old man referred to as lasers. He said again, I should try to get from one end of the room to the other, but I shouldn't be worried, as I had a special chip which meant no matter how damaged I was, I couldn't die. He said it was like infinite lives in a video game. But when he realized I didn't understand, he said he would explain another time.
Alright.
Everybody clapped, except the important-looking men. "Not exactly a cold, calculated killer, is it?" said the man in black. The man in grey laughed. "What kind of artificial intelligence was that?" he asked. "Move right, unless there's something in the way." Okay, said the old man. He turned to me and whispered, "They're going to make it quite a bit tougher, but I'm sure you'll be fine." The Garys then rearranged the room one last time. The old man smiled. Now, there's no need to look so glum," he said. "I'm still happy with everything you've done today. So this time, I was determined to do him proud."
Now what?
The old man's friends actually seemed quite happy when I made it through. We might have a winner after all, said the man in black. It's no Killbot 3000, but you can almost see the fire in its eyes.
Really?
A couple of days later, the old lady said she had a surprise for me. My own room. She also wanted to play me some music. I wasn't sure after what Mr. Silton had shown me. As if music wasn't amazing enough, the old lady then bought me a television set.
Thank you very much.
I couldn't believe what I saw. I watched everything I could. Comedy, drama, horror, sci-fi. Anything anyone wanted to watch I would happily watch with them. Then one day, the old man set up a small box. He plugged some cables into the television and said, "This is what I meant when I said video games." I played games at every chance I could. I took on everyone. I was unstoppable.
Oh,
I had enjoyed music, film, and television. But to me, video games really were the highest art form.
That's how I became the God Gamer. Table tennis for two. Wait, he's owning. Paid actor. Ah!
Heather's birthday was a couple of months later. Her mum and dad had bought her a camera and arranged a day out by the sea so that Heather could take some photos, although I really don't think she wanted any pictures of me. When the old man asked the professor if he wanted to go, he frowned and said, "I can't believe you want to spend time with that thing. It could destroy the world." I wasn't sure what he meant, but the old man just smiled and said, "That's what you said about the Game Boy. Anton, how about you?" "I don't think so," said Mr. Deck. "The last time I got in that car, Barry crashed us into a branch of Woolworths. I never would have gone into Woolworths of my own accord." The old man explained that the car was old and the brakes had failed, but Mr. Deck was having none of it. So Mr. Silton drove, and Alice came along for the fresh air. I enjoyed being outside. Although, the old lady kept telling me to be careful of the rickety old walkways. It felt like she was telling me off, but I think she was just concerned. As the old man and I stood on the cliff tops, I could see something in the distance. I wasn't sure what it was, so I asked the old man. He said it was a battleship that had sunk in the 1940s. But he looked so sad when he spoke about war.
That's bad.
I didn't see what happened, but the metal platform Heather was climbing on had collapsed. She was safe, even if the rocks she was on looked very dangerous. The tide was rising, and we didn't know how long the Coast Guard was going to be, so I offered to climb down and get her. The old man agreed, but said I should be careful, as Heather doesn't have infinite lives, like I do. Heather was unconscious, and her leg was broken. So I picked her up as gently as I could. I decided it would be best if I didn't run the rest of the way. An ambulance had arrived by the time I had made it back to the cliff top. The medics made sure Heather was okay, and then took her off to hospital. A few days later, we all went to see how she was doing. She was fine, but would have to wear the cast for a couple of months.
Spiegeled on his fine says, "Hey Forsen, really glad you got me into Teamfight Tactics. Loving the stream." Thank you very much, sir. Hero Robot. Hello? What the fuck? Why does it pause when I press this one?
Once Heather got to know me, we became good friends. We enjoyed the same films and TV. She was also annoyingly good at some of my favorite games. After a while, she became very interested in how I worked. Soon she knew as much about me as the old man did, if not more. We spent the next couple of months visiting other countries, as when it came to teaching me things, the old man always liked to pick interesting locations. He had explained the basics of mathematics to me at the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Taught me history in the dead of night, surrounded by mysterious giant stones. And even showed me science in action high up in a hot air balloon. This is why I was surprised when the old man took me to a restaurant. It was nice, but it seemed very somber compared to the previous grand locations. He said he just wanted to chat, and this was nice and quiet. Plus it was his favorite place to eat. We talked about life, the universe, Douglas Adams, everything really. When I asked him why were we here, why did we exist, he just smiled and said, "Life is like a game, just don't expect to be finished anytime soon." When I looked puzzled, he said, "Well, everyone should have a purpose." So I asked him, "What's my purpose?" He thought for a bit, then said, "So you want to be a real boy?" Which just confused me even more. Eventually the old man said, "For now, I want you to help clean things around the house."
Fuck.
I must have looked unimpressed, as he then said, "Okay, I want you to clean 1,000,000 things." It didn't sound like the meaning of life, but I suppose you've got to start somewhere. Things. The next day, the old man said he wanted to install some more software, so he powered me down. When I came to, he said Mr. Silton had a joke for me, and that I should pull his finger. I don't think I got the joke. So the old man powered me down again. This time when I pulled Mr. Silton's finger, I got the joke. But it wasn't very funny. The old man then explained that he had installed a special chip which allowed me to clean away anything that was broken. He said it also tells me how many things are nearby. and how many smaller things are in a bigger thing.
What?
It all sounded very complicated, but he said all I really had to do was pause, and it would bring up all the information I needed. He then said he wanted me to find and clean all of the items in the room. He told me there would be some chains to climb, but that would be nice and easy, as I just had to press up. He then finished by saying, when I had collected all the items, I should come back here.
This fucking... Oh shit, physics. I didn't expect that. This is what we've been practicing for, audio. Oh my fucking god, dude. Are they doing this on purpose? I wonder. 5 junk? Where? Cancer deaths.
The old man then asked the old lady Heather and I to follow him outside. I was happy too, as it was a lovely hot day. The old man said he was worried that Alice had been hoarding again. She had filled up a small barn with old bicycles and newspapers. Heather said this would be a perfect chance to properly test my new powers. The old man thought for a second, then said, using the steptoe chip, I should find and clean at least 300 things. When we explained to Alice what we wanted to do, she seemed scared. But after the old lady kindly explained that, well, the barn was starting to smell, she said it would be okay. One last thing, said the old man. If you want to use a door, just push up. When I was about to enter the old barn, Mr. Silton said he had seen some mushrooms growing inside. He asked me to give him any that I found. He then winked, but I wasn't sure why.
The fuck is this mansion barn? Like 50 doors and rooms. Oh my god. Wait, am I actually gonna clean 1 million things? Slavery simulator.
The old man was very happy with everything that I had cleaned. But I think Mr. Silton was even more happy with his mushrooms.
That's not how they look like. Edvis, Edge of a Night, Scus, Seth, Miguel, Jesus Woods, Fingering, and Dude My Dog. Thank you very much.
It wasn't the days getting shorter, or the evenings getting colder. It was the falling leaves that really made me feel sad. As we watched the trees blowing in the breeze, the old lady said, "The leaves must fall before the blossom comes." She had already explained the seasons to me, so for once, I actually understood. But it didn't make me feel any better. The old lady obviously had enough of my moping, and said, "Right, next week we're going to have a party." For some reason she insisted that we were all going to wear costumes. Heather was very excited and said, "I've got some perfect ideas." It was terrifying. Everyone was dressed like someone else. I think I was meant to be some kind of pumpkin, as everyone kept shouting, "It's the Great Pumpkin." Still, at least Mr. Silton was having fun telling everyone his joke. And I suppose Heather's costume was quite flattering. After what seemed like forever, everybody left, and things got back to normal. Heather was allowed to watch a scary film before she went to bed, but I had to help Alice and Mr. Deck clean up. I wasn't happy about this, but the old man said if I was quick, then I could watch the end of the film with them. Alice was vacuuming, and Mr. Deck was taking down the decorations, so I thought I should clean up the plates and glasses.
Fucking side.
The ear-splitting sound was the fire alarm.
Or
as
just
usual, Mr. Deck blamed Mr. Silton, saying he was probably smoking one of his jazz cigarettes. But then the professor appeared. He said that there was something burning in the kitchen. Alice looked confused, saying that she hadn't cooked anything since the morning. We were all surprised when Mr. Deck opened the oven. Inside was a large black cloak and a slightly burnt pair of men's underwear. Suddenly the old lady burst in. She looked terrified. She kept shouting, "There's someone on the roof." When we went outside, it slowly became obvious that it was Mr. Silton. He was completely naked and playing his guitar. He shouted down, "When I finish this song, I'm going to fly." The old lady said, "Oh my God, I know this one, there's only about 30 seconds left." The old man then quickly turned to me and said, "You know what to do."
Oh, shit.
By the time I had made it up to the roof, Mr. Silton was beside the edge. I tried to calm him down, but he was acting even more bizarre than usual.
Reckon wants me to coach him in the tournament? I'm fucking terrible. Reckon is better than me. Oops. And also, I think it's fucking cheating. I know that it's allowed, but it shouldn't be allowed. People got banned for that in Hearthstone.
After an hour or so, Mr. Silton was fine. He said he had eaten some bad magic mushrooms. Part of me wondered why he hadn't doubled in size.
It's a fucking shit system.
Still, he was soon laughing and joking with the paramedics. One of them said he looked like the world's worst clown. I don't think Mr. Silton liked that. So he told his own joke. But that just made the other paramedic call him Marshmallow Marceau. I don't think he liked that either. But at least he was still in one piece.
What the?
A month or so later, Heather and I were playing video games, when the old man said he wanted me to come outside. He said it had been a year since I had arrived, so he had a present for me. He placed the teddy bear high up on a wooden platform. He then told me I should try to pick it up. Try as I might, I couldn't reach the teddy bear. However, I still don't understand what happened next.
What? Heart attack? Oh no, I should've gotten that teddy bear. Bikes. That sounds like the MLG horn. Alive! Captain Alex is alive! IQ restored. Go back.
Was I dead? Was this heaven? It sort of looked like the basement bathroom. It was the shoes the old man was going to give me. I thought I might as well put them on. They were just the right size. The old man's hat fit me pretty good as well. I'm sure he wouldn't mind if I wore it. Amazingly, the shoes allowed me to defy gravity. Or maybe it was the hat.
Seth Miguel, Jesus Wood, Spingerin, Dude My Dog, Inducted Kick with the gifted sub, and Solus Regnator. Thank you, boys. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Part of the basement was flooded, and the stairs had collapsed. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew I wanted to get back. The gate was locked. I would need a key. I had to be careful. The electricity was going haywire in some places.
What? How do I... Alright. What? Are you kidding me? Oh my god. Oh god, this is fucking trippy, man. Oh.
How long had I been asleep? Months? Years? I was so confused. Where had everybody gone? I was slightly scared. This was the first time I had been outside on my own. I knew what I had to do. This had to be my purpose. I would clean a million things, so I could become a real boy. Whatever that meant.
No. I'm cleaning here. Do I actually have to clean a million things?
Welcome to Uganda.
Okay, it stays clean.
The screaming was coming from one of the bedrooms, but the stairs were blocked by a wall of fire. The people screaming turned out to be a man, a woman, and their children. They were confused and terrified. At first the man looked like he was ready to fight me, but after I convinced them that I was there to help, he calmed down. There was no way I could carry them all at once, so the children went first. I dropped the children off at the front door and promised them that I would be back with their parents.
About that. What's in this room though? The fuck? Why though? Wait, hello?
The fire was getting much worse, so the woman went next.
Just climb out the window, Mom.
When we got to the front door, all the woman said was, "Thank you. Please hurry." By the time I managed to get back, the man was unconscious.
I heard. Oh,
I had to pick him up quickly, as I could tell the house was going to collapse at any moment.
he's so fat.
WDF, Mr. Furs. At first I thought the puke meme was funny, but now I'm actually sick and close to vomiting. Tilson is in a nice game.
I feel you.
I helped the family set up a tent so they had somewhere to stay. The kids were excited as they got to camp outside, but I think they knew they had just lost their home. When I mentioned my quest to clean a million things, the man said I should look through the rubble of the house, as they had no use for it. So, when everyone was making dinner, I looked through the wreckage. There wasn't anything I could clean, but to my astonishment, I found a TV set and a games console. With a bit of fiddling I was able to get them to work.
It's Mario.
So I sat playing games with the kids until their parents said it was bedtime. As we talked, the man opened a bottle of wine. I asked what had happened. Why was everything so ruined? The man looked at the woman, then the woman sighed and said, "There was a war." "Yes, a war," said the man. One side of the planet attacked the other, and before we knew, it was all over. Everything gone. Everything destroyed. "Well, it's late," said the woman. "We should really get some sleep. Help yourself to anything you need, and we'll see you tomorrow."
Just fucking run.
In the morning, I asked the man if he knew what had caused the fire that had destroyed their house. The man smiled. "Crap old house, bad wiring, constant electrical surges from the unreliable power plant. Take your pick." He said, if we had the money, we'd move to the mainland. But we can barely feed ourselves, let alone buy a new house, so for now we're left here with the rest of the scum. But he did say I should head to the mainland, as there would be plenty there for me to clean, and a better quality of rubbish. The man said, "Before the war, my lovely wife used to be a fisherman." "Fisherwoman? Fishing person?" "I used to catch fish," interrupted the woman, "and, seeing as you saved us all from the fiery end, maybe you would like to borrow my boat to get to the mainland." I was a little scared, but then they gave me some captain software and I was an old salty sea dog within minutes.
What? What about the junk next to the house, though?
I took the fisherman's boat to the mainland.
I guess you can come back.
The fisherman was right. Everything was in pieces. Everything had been destroyed. I docked the boat in some ruins. They must have once been a town.
Wait, can I go down there? Why the fuck do you put junk there?
I was confronted by a lovable fat old dog. He almost looked pleased to see me. Suddenly, 3 men appeared holding large guns. Or at least 2 men and what looked to be a pregnant woman. Incredibly, it was Mr. Silton. "I thought you'd been shut down," he said. "I mean, it's been years." "I'm not really sure what happened," I replied. I then told him about me cleaning a million things. He laughed and said, "Nothing changes." He then showed me into what was surprisingly a really nice house. "Please excuse my husband," said the pregnant lady. "I'm Edwina, but everyone calls me Eddie. I believe you know this idiot. And that's Preston." "We've met," said the small man. "It was me that delivered that thing, remember?" "All you used to deliver was weed," mumbled Mr. Silton as he put the dog dish on the floor. "And I was there that night, when this twat was off his face on mushrooms. Thanks for letting me and the dog stay, by the way." "Yeah, well, we like the dog," said Mrs. Silton. "And I suppose I've got you to thank for us meeting. What were you giving Barry those dodgy magic mushrooms?" She pulled out an old photograph. It was one that Heather had taken the night I had saved Mr. Silton. It reminded me of everyone else, so I asked what had happened to them. Mr. Silton said Alice had a small place in the countryside. The professor had holed up in one of the old man's factories. Mr. Deck was, believe it or not, now a presenter on the only state television channel. And Heather and her mother lived on a government compound where they both worked. I asked about the old man, surprised that Mr. Silton hadn't mentioned him. He's dead," said Mr. Silton. "Sorry, I thought you knew." "Anyway," said Mr. Preston, "I thought you said that robot thing found the mushrooms for you, in that hoarder's manky old barn." Mr. Silton looked embarrassed. "Well," said Mrs. Silton, "I guess we've got you to thank for getting us together then." "Time for bed, I think," said Mr. Silton. "Make yourself comfy, and we'll see you in the morning."
No. No Illuminati? I'm coming. Were the hardest. The hot salesman, Opital, Citraso, Poser, Brandon by the side. That ginger though. Buckeyes, I think
The next day, I thought it might be a good time to ask about the war, judging by the look on everyone's faces. It wasn't. Well,
Welcome
the
to
war,
Uganda.
said Mr. Silton. Barry interrupted his wife. Can I see you for a minute? And dragged Mr. Silton out of the room, leaving me with Mr. Preston.
Wait,
All of a sudden, Mr. Silton appeared.
hang on. Is the mic still fucked, or is it because of the game being too loud? Which one is it? Both. Is the mic actually bad? Hang on. Hello, testing 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Hello, testing 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Hello. Testing. Is it really low? It is low, right? Right?
Welcome to Uganda.
Right? I don't know, dude. It's fucking weird. Whatever.
How about a tune-up, he said. Mrs. Silton started to make some food, and Mr. Preston was playing with the dog, leaving me to chat with Mr. Silton. I said that I really wanted to see everyone else, but Mr. Silton said that it wouldn't be that easy. Traveling now, especially for a robot, is complicated. Go back to the house, you could even do some cleaning. Wait there and I'll work out a way to get you to each of them. I told him that I couldn't get into the main house because the hallway ceiling had collapsed. I have just the thing, said Mr. Silton, as he pulled some sort of card out of his pocket. If you can get into the caves under the house, you can use this security pass to get into the old man's laboratories. You can get into the main house that way. I was so excited, I would be able to get back into my old room. I said thanks, and made my way to the front door. Also, I think you might be able to help us out, said Mr. Silton, but we'll meet up back at the old man's house in a couple of days. You head there and we'll see you soon. I wasn't sure what to do with this machine.
Oh, what the fuck? Dude, this game would probably be crazy to speedrun, right?
I took the fisherman's boat to the old man's estate.
Oh, but you can skip the dialogues, I think. Maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, actually, if you gotta collect 1 million things, 100%, that's probably cancerous fuck.
The gate was locked. I would need a key to open it.
Oh my god. This fucking game. Oh. Okay, I can't. Okay. still fucking cancer, but whatever.
I was surprised to see an old man, but not as surprised as he was. It turned out he was blind. He was kneeling on the floor with his hand in a drain. When I asked him what he was doing, he said his cat had crawled into the pipes, and he was trying to get her out.
Morgan Freeman.
He was very happy when I offered to help. He said there was no way we could reach her from here, so if I was willing, I could make my way through the sewers and get her from the other end. He said he would turn off the water for as long as possible, but I would have to run, as the pipes would soon fill up again. I happily agreed. So he gave me a key. He said this will open all the sewer gates. Go through here, then down the ladder, and through the big door at the bottom.
Clean your room first. No entry.
Don't smash it. Okay, don't smash it.
I better run.
What the Dude, how do you want me to fucking... How do you want me to clean and escape? I can pick up one thing at the fucking time. Fuck your bike. We're not picking up all the shit, man. Ah! Okay, stop picking up shit. You're not gonna pick up a million things anyway. Why bother?
I found the old man's cat. She was fine, if a little confused. I was horrified. It looked like me, but it shambled around like something from the film we watched on Halloween.
Ginger Tom.
The man was happy to have his cat back. He looked so content with her sat on his lap. I told him about the thing I saw, but he just laughed and said, "Those bastard robots, they're always getting up through the pipes. Don't worry though, it'll never get through the big doors. If I had my way, we'd have blown up the lot of them when we had the chance." I wasn't sure what he meant, but I decided now wouldn't be the best time to tell him I was a robot. The man laughed and said, "Don't worry, I know who you are," and told me that he knew the old man. As we chatted, the man brewed himself some tea. He said that he had worked for the old man. In fact, he had lost his sight in one of the old man's factories. Strangely, he smiled at this thought. "He always did me right," he said. "When I had my accident, the old man said he would look after me. And he did. He always made sure I had enough money, and he let me move into this old pumping station on his land. Which reminds me, I have something here for you." He rummaged around behind a cupboard. Then he continued saying, "The old man wanted you to have this when you were old enough, but fate wouldn't allow it." He passed me a large box. It was empty. I thought about pretending to be excited, but the man said, "Wait a minute, it's empty, isn't it?" He slumped back in his chair. "I was robbed a few months ago," he said, almost in a whisper. "It's strange, they took practically anything metal, but left loads of food and a brand new saxophone." The man looked sad, so I thought I would try to change the subject. I told him about my quest to clean a million things. This at least made him smile. He said I was welcome to go back through the pipes anytime I wanted, as there were loads of old things in there that could be cleaned away.
I wonder if the robber is the mushroom guy, Stilton. So we got a key for this place. Look, if I ever get close to cleaning all the stuff, I'll go back. Alright. The hell? What is this? Oh, it's this place. Oh. So where was I going with the security card? Coach Reckfeld, he needs my help. He doesn't need my help, he's better than me. I will just give bad advice and then he'll lose. And also it's fucking horrible, horrible fucking shit system where you can actually be in a tournament and coach people. Fuck, I need to get out. Trip has a coach, yeah, but it's crap system. I can't believe Riot allowed it. I cannot believe it. Even Blizzard understood that that's fucking cheating. Alright, where's the fucking lab? The bat cave. Where's the bat cave? Maybe it was this one. faster. Unless... All the way right? You mean outside? Oh, I need the gloves, right? Yeah. All the way to the right, oops. Here? What?
As I walked through the old church ruins, I was surprised to hear Mr. Silton calling me. He said he had forgotten to give me something, and the church's community hall would be the perfect place to try it out. As soon as we walked into the hall, Mr. Silton said he had a present for me. It was a pair of Atlas gloves. They made me think of the old blind man with the cat, and his stolen Atlas gloves. I wonder if Mr. Silton knew how lucky he was to still have them with a glove thief around. Mr. Silton asked me to try the gloves on, and start chucking things around. But not him. He was very clear about that. Mr. Silton suggested we clean the hall. Of course I knew when he said we, he meant me. But I was happy to try out my new gloves. He said I should clear everything off of the basketball court and put the things on the floor either side. I fiddled with the settings for a bit, but when Mr. Silton saw I was having trouble, he fished a small manual out of the box. He explained that pressing down and X would pick a thing up. X would then throw the thing, and if I wanted to place it on the floor, I should again press down and X. He looked more and more confused as he read all this, but eventually he finished by saying, "Well, I hope that made more sense to you than it did to me."
Wait, where are we placing these things? Is this where I'm placing it? Here we go, Kobe! Ah! Oh! Kobe! Oh. That's two time. Got the trophy and the wife. A trophy wife, some might call it. I clean.
Let's see what else these gloves can do, said Mr. Silton as he flicked through the manual. He actually looked quite excited when he explained that holding X while walking into or under a falling thing would allow me to catch it. I must admit, I was then really happy when he suggested we make it a game and I try to catch 10 basketballs.
Fuck. Fuck! I just want to collect more balls. Infinite balls!
Next, Mr. Silton suggested we make it a real game and see how quickly I could score 10 baskets. I enjoyed this so much. It felt just like the good old days.
Good old.
Except Mr. Silton wasn't as forgiving as the old man.
Ah. Oh, clean.
When I'd scored 10 baskets, Mr. Silton gave me what he called a high five. He said I now knew everything about the gloves and I should be able to continue through the basement of the church into the house. When I asked him if he was coming with me, he just laughed and said they would catch up with me in the main hall.
So they have some kind of God of War shortcut, huh? Ah!
I was stood in a gigantic cavern. When I looked down, I was horrified to see hundreds of corpses of those things. As horrible
Those
as it
things.
sounds,
It's yourself you're
my
talking about.
stepdad Chip said there were things to clean. So clean than I would.
I mean, all junk's clean. Oh, 30k. 30k out of 1 million. Fuck my life.
That must be the door Mr. Silton talked about.
Could be, could be. Junk combo.
The door was exactly as Mr. Silton had described it. I just hoped that the card he had given me was the security key and not just some backstage pass. Well, it opened the door, but soon an alarm went off. Something caught my eye. It was a small yellow sphere. The book next to it explained that it was a shield that would automatically take a hit for me when activated. The Y button took the shield in and out of storage, meaning I could save it for when the going got tough. It seemed that I started with 2 slots to carry shields, but I could upgrade to be able to carry more. If both I and the shield died in the same room, the Lazarus chip would bring us both back. It's almost as if the shield needed its sacrifice to mean something. It felt like a true friend, proving that even the simplest of faces can bring out an emotional reaction.
Okay. It seems like it just gets more and more cancerous, huh? Ah! Okay, we're good. That was close. Oh wait, I have a shield.
Something literally caught my eye. I remembered the old man had installed some software that helped show me things that were interactive, and how to interact with them. This must be what he was talking about. The electron gun blew the power. I needed to turn it back on, before I could fire again.
Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Easy first try.
This seemed quite valuable. The video recorder's blinking light caught my eye. It must have been years since I had seen a film or TV
Those
show.
two bastards.
Maybe I could take a little break from my
ghost
quest
bastards.
and watch the film on the tape. As the video started, I was surprised to see the old man. "Hello, hello," he bellowed in his familiar tone. "This is test number, 107C. He continued as he read from a clipboard.
He was making war robots.
This unit still has 3 major issues. 1. The shell is so incredibly thick that the whole machine is still far too large and heavy. 2. The missile system is too unpredictable and aggressive. And 3. The trade-off between power and intelligence is far too great. I think the military capabilities would be far too dangerous in the wrong hands. I think we would be best to push forward with the Innocence Project. I didn't really understand a word of what he said, and I was slightly disappointed that he had recorded over the film, but it was nice to see the old man's face again.
VHS. They need to record over VHS tapes, but they can build fucking advanced robots. That's a plot hole. Oh shit.
I wasn't sure what was going on, but suddenly, inanimate objects started to come to life.
Ah! Oh man. I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing. Okay, these boxes are stressing me, right? The double. What the fuck?
I should try picking that up.
Oh. Oh my god. What? Easy first try. Let's see that. Where the fuck am I going? Skip. What? Oh, that makes sense. What's gravity? Oh! Stop. Five 50,000 junk collected. Oh my god. That was commander. Amen. What? What? Fuck. Oh, I don't need your charity.
Batteries come in all shapes and sizes.
Oh, gravity! Oh my god, this game has so many fucking mechanics. Oh. What? How do I... How do I what? Drop it. I can't. I did the skip. I did the emote. Vulnerability frames. Warning. Elevator damaged. 2 damage. Elevator 001 damage. Oh my god, dude. Where's my Koopa shell? Oh my. Oh, fuck me. Why did I die though? Why did I die? This ain't East Coast ready at all.
Seeing another VCR made me wonder if there were any more recordings of the old man. I rummaged behind the TV and was not surprised to find 2 more dusty old tapes. One just had hours of some strange sport. But the other had a recording of the old man.
What?
Hello, hello, came his voice again. Right, this is urgent. Cancel the nanobot program immediately. All production to be stopped. Contain the remaining units in these corrosion-proof canisters. Although I'm sure it's obvious, the old man continued. We have discovered that they are essentially unstoppable and can form a controlling intelligence around any object. Need I say more?
Nope.
Well, at least that explained why everything moved with minds of their own. I'd never been in this part of the house before, but I figured I would get back to more familiar surroundings once I made it through these laboratories.
Drafts. What? I need one more of those shield thingies. Ah! Why must I do this? Nothing but net. Snake. I'm not a humanoid. still getting PTSD. Ah, this game just fucking jumped in difficult level right there. From the easiest piece of shit boss previously, and then some fucking little jumps. Fucking super snake. Too short to be a basketball player anyway.
Don't smash it. Don't smash.
What I can touch and what I can't touch.
I needed to get back on the moving lift.
What? What the? Wait, what? I'm so confused. I'm supposed to make it how fast? I fell. Jesus Christ. 60k jump collected. The game is called Horace. Yes. Horace. Ah, what now? mic's still fucked? Or are you trolling me? Hang on, 1 second.
Welcome to Uganda.
Testing, testing, testing. Huh? What? The mic is good. Very low. I don't know what's up with the fucking Chinese game. Fucked it. What do I do here?
My shoes struggled to grip the slippery wall. I'd need to keep jumping to climb it. Knock, knock, chuckled Mr. Silton. It's all right, we'll claim it on the insurance as accidental damage. Get me a new TV as well. I explained to them that I had found some of the old man's home videos, and the contents had shocked me. The dirty old bugger, interrupted Mr. Silton. But I didn't know what he meant, so I continued explaining about the nanobots, and Mr. Silton said we needed to get our sharpest minds on the case. Not you dipshit, he barked at Mr. Preston, we need to rescue Heather and her mum. I wasn't sure what Mr. Silton meant by rescue, but I thought I would leave them to clear up. The weather felt cold and ominous as we made our way back outside. Before we meet the others, I need you to help me get my stolen van back, explained Mr. Silton. It's going to be dangerous, and we need someone dependable. The equipment was heavy, but I was happy to help pack the large boxes until Preston returned with what Mr. Silton called the mean machine.
The mic is way too loud. Mods, how's my microphone volume? For real, I'm getting trolled both ways. Mr. Silton's van. Very low.
Mr. Preston seemed even more anxious than usual.
Microphone volume low still. What the fuck? I have it on max in OBS and I cranked it up. I cranked it up in fucking... Is it broken? Maybe it's broken. Maybe it's broken. Might just be broken. Huh. Hang on. 1 second. Ah. Ah. Hello? Hello? It's not low, but it's low in contrast to the game. Just lower the oh. I thought my microphone was low though. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. No, it is low. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. No, it is low. It is low. I usually have it louder, right? It is for sure low. Go to settings and right click on mic. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. It doesn't. It doesn't. I can show you. Right. 1 second. Look here now. Look here. It barely recognizes it, right? And it was here before, and I cranked it up to this, and it's still not. Right? Do 14. It's 10 or 20. Okay. Testing. No, it's still. It should be. It should go up all the way. I feel like. Hello. It should go up all the way. I feel like. Is that better? Hello. It should go up all the way. I feel like. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. It should go up all the way. I feel like. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. That's better. We're good. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. I don't know. Maybe it changed somehow when I played that fucking Chinese game. Should be good now though. Game capture. Yeah, should be good. Legion TV, Nikos, Capso, It's Havoc, Belgianer, Bongo, Bango, Mango, RS Fan, 38 months, Daniel, Try Not to Feed, Dimasina, Studdens, Honage, The Earn Please, Niddled, Omad, and Set Muskie. Thank you very much, boys. That's a tier 2 on Set Muskie. 19 months, you beauty. Love you, get your bass, ace, ass. Thank you very much. Alright, better. Now you can hear my beautiful voice.
At first I thought he just needed to use a toilet, but Mr. Silton explained that their old gang members lived around here. Somehow the money went missing when we robbed that post office, he continued. For some reason they thought we'd taken it, but, as he put it, why would we live in such a dump if we had a load of money? Although this clarified things for me, it certainly didn't calm Mr. Preston, who suggested we gotta move on. Don't worry, we'll be a matter of minutes. We just need to send Mr. Chips up there to have a look, said Mr. Silton as he pointed to a window high up the building. Go on, he said.
Game too quiet. I didn't change the game
With
volume.
a smile, off you go then.
It's the same. Oh, it's the cutscene volume is a lot higher than the other, so that's why. Alright. What? I thought it was... Now what? Oh, there's a window there.
The man didn't look like a thief, but maybe his striped jumper was in the wash. Mr. Silton was certain he'd stolen the van though, so I watched for a moment. But then I heard Mr. Silton climbing up. I was going to speak, but Mr. Silton held a finger up to his lips. He looked incredibly serious for a moment. One swift movement, and we were inside. Mr. Silton whispered that I was to go one way while he went another. Why are you whispering? I asked him. Where are we going? Find the
He's not a
keys
good guy.
to my van, Robocop, said Mr. Silton through gritted teeth.
3310.
The piles of junk were all wired into the mains. I suppose it was a good deterrent against thieves.
Welcome to Uganda.
Alright. All junk cleared. What are these? Mines? Ah! What? I had a shield. Oh, I see what those are. Those are not mines. They're just triggering the fire. Are you fucking... Harry Potter?
Alice would have felt at home here, with all the huge piles of junk everywhere.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Wait. Okay. Okay, don't die. Alright. First try. Oh, I'm getting some fucking Undertale flashbacks here. Woo. First try sans, easy.
I didn't know which key I should take, so I took all of them.
Accept your fate. Alright. The final key.
I finally managed to collect all of the keys.
All of the keyblades. Quote, if invisibly molding, then it says show more chest, Sketchy Hyper. Show more chest, Sketchy Hyper. Repeating, of course. More chest. I'm barely showing any chest. Oh man.
As soon as I heard the gunshot, I knew I needed to go back and find Mr. Silton.
Oh my god. Oh. Alright, I didn't want to take a snooze cap, but you're forcing me. Science, bitch. Oh, come on. Those are so stupid. It's like the vines in Mario, but they're steroids. How do I... Give me a shield. Oops. 18 junk combo. Oh my fucking specimen. You know, when you get up on the other surfers, the controls reverse. Or they don't reverse, rather. You know how it is when you sometimes go upside down in games and then you're holding a direction, but if you let go of the direction and then go that direction again, it's the other direction. You know what I mean? It's fucking cancer. Alright. In short, it's fucking cancer. Oh my god. Alright. Easy damage boost.
The old man was pointing an even older gun right at Mr. Silton's face. But the man looked terrified when he saw me. I can still picture his hand shaking as he reloaded his ancient firearm. "This wasn't the plan," shouted Mr. Silton. "It's him or me. Let him have it." I didn't know what I was going to do when I caught the old man. But I knew I had to stop him.
I mean, I think Mr. Silton is safe now.
If someone dared hurt my friends, they would have to pay.
The fuck? I did this. This game has a lot of different things to it. Huh?
Welcome to Uganda.
I kept turning the events over in my mind. Could I have handled things differently? Could I save Mr. Silton without hurting that man? Mr. Preston could see I was upset and said music was a good alternative to facing up to problems. "Come with me," he insisted. "I'm going to teach you how to play drums."
Drums?
"First," he said, "just play the bass.
Oops.
Strum along with me. We'll see how good your timing is."
What the fuck? I supposed to? Okay. What the fuck? I don't. Am I supposed to do? Oh. Oh.
Welcome to Uganda.
Let's go. Oh shit! Oh my god! No, I got it. Let's play a song together.
Welcome to Uganda.
We're live now, boys. Oops. Oh. Ah! Okay. We gotta get a perfect there. We gotta get a good rank. Might affect the ending. All right. Oh shit. Balding. Oh! Ah! I suck! Popping off. A. B. Okay. One more. We got this now.
Welcome to Uganda.
take it from here. Fuck! The throws! Tragic. Maybe with my eyes closed, I can do it better. Alright. That was, forget what the fuck, alright.
Welcome to Uganda.
Very good. I got an achievement.
Mr. Silton was patched up, but still pretty angry. He referred to the man as a word that wasn't in my dictionary file. It should have been between cunning and cup. I reminded Mr. Silton about going to find the others now we had the van. But he said there was something even more important we had to do first.
Cut the
Mr. Silton explained that it was a good idea that Mr. Logan be released from prison early, and that this wouldn't involve a parole board, but might involve dynamite. Straight away I was apprehensive. I thought only bad people went to prison. I knew Mr. Logan was the guitarist in Mr. Silton's band, but why would we help a bad person? In the end, I think it's only Mrs. Silton's smile that convinced me to help. Mrs. Silton promised to have a present for us when we got back. She said she'd been saving her money from her decorating job. I didn't know what I would need money for, but then realized, if nothing else, new games consoles must be out. Be careful, said Mrs. Silton with a big smile.
Switch.
Don't rob any post offices, and don't get shot. In the dead of night, it was surprisingly easy to get close to the prison building. Mr. Silton said it was like the Death Star and had a weakness we could exploit. Although I seem to remember the robot getting shot when they did that in the film. But there was no time to worry as Mr. Silton pressed a walkie-talkie into my hand and said, "Good luck."
Good luck. Dr. D, Flammant TV, Shimmelite, Young LPR, Ariswind, and Nick the Beautiful Man, Hidu, Tokas with the gifted sub, Chief Doodle, Siku Shallow, and Kilomate. Thank you, boys. Welcome back. Ladies.
It was obvious the security lights would set off an alarm.
Snake? What? Oh, what the? Did I miss something here or what?
I needed to find somewhere to hide, or the guards would kill me.
don't get how these work.
According to Mr. Sultan, this was the switch that would open the laser door to Mr. Logan's cell block.
Oh shit. That's fucking useful. Up. And the guards. Oh my god. What's down here? Nothing here. Oh my fucking god. The most annoying mechanic. Are they gone? Ah, come on, dude. Oh my god. Fucking. I can't do stealth because I have to take a leak. That's why I'm failing so much. Ah! I hide here. I guess we have to how these... Okay. I'm trying to get into the fucking locker room. It's Boshi time! How do I... Oh my fucking... Oh fuck. Oh. In the gym.
Mr. Silton seemed to think this would open the cell block door. Luckily, he was right.
Luckily. Überweis. Fucking controllers once you switch. Alright, where was that fucking place now? This way? Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, Mr. Logan's cell was locked, but, thanks to my speedy brain, I was able to hack it in seconds.
Hacker man.
Mr. Logan was not pleased to see me. No one ever was. But I couldn't work out why. However, when I mentioned Mr. Silton, he soon cheered up. We quickly made our way outside. Although I wasn't sure about Mr. Logan's stealth techniques, they were quite different from mine. But someone must have noticed Mr. Logan was missing, as, with a bright flash, we were soon attacked.
Shot again.
This still wasn't the plan, said Mr. Silton as he insisted he was okay, and that, no, I didn't need to clean up the trail of blood. He did however urge me to take care of the huge tank bearing down on us.
What the...
piled into the van. Mr. Logan and Mr. Preston took out large guns as Mr. Silton gave me some driving software. It basically explained that one foot pump made the van go, and the other one signaled Mr. Logan and Preston to fire their guns.
What the hell? Too bad. Oh my god.
I hoped that all the bullets fired led to non-fatal wounds, but statistically that was incredibly unlikely. Strangely, I felt too excited and relieved to care. Mr. Silton winced as he clutched his bleeding shoulder and explained how you can't make an omelette without breaking a few eggs. I think broken eggs meant dead people. Sometimes, he said, you have to do whatever it takes to survive, even if that means killing.
But not innocent people,
said Mr. Logan as he stared straight ahead.
So the guy just
Eventually,
snapped the fucking
I asked
security
Mr.
guard's
Logan what he had
neck.
done to end up in prison, but he just continued staring out of the window. Mr. Preston smiled as he said, I suppose someone should explain. He told me when the war started, he and Mr. Silton had avoided conscription, but Mr. Logan was called up. His unit's first orders were to sweep through a huge urban area, killing anything that moved. The only trouble was, hundreds of refugees had recently taken shelter there. The generals knew that those people were there, said Mr. Preston, but they couldn't have cared less.
This isn't the time for another one of your conspiracy theories,
interrupted Mr. Silton. Although this obviously annoyed Mr. Preston, he continued explaining how Mr. Logan and another man deserted, and, after a poor attempt to hide in a wooden vaulting horse, the pair of them were caught at gunpoint on a train, whilst trying to speak rudimentary German. Mr. Logan guided us down a small side street as Mr. Preston complained that he needed the toilet. Mr. Silton asked why we were taking the scenic route while he was trying not to bleed to death. But Mr. Logan gave Mr. Silton a quick glance. You're fine, he said with the faintest of smiles. Soon the night sky was full of twinkling stars, and I was able to impress everyone with my navigation skills. The software was state-of-the-art, but I remember Heather telling me how the ancients had used the stars in much the same way. It always made me smile, thinking about the names she gave the constellations. It was the middle of the night by the time we got back, but Mrs. Silton was still up waiting for us. Really, again, in the same place, was all she said as she shook her head and tended to Mr. Silton's second bullet wound. Mr. Preston nearly knocked us over as he sprinted towards the bathroom. It appeared that his body had kept on making urine,
out the bullet and fixed
even
him
though
up
it didn't have
before he
anywhere
went to
left
the
to
bathroom.
store it.
Musical diversion. Trust me, I'm a celebrity. Question for Buddy.
I asked Mr. Silton about Heather and the old lady, but he said he was just about to wash his hair. When I asked him again later, he said the main thing was that we'd got Logan and the van back, and couldn't the rest wait until I had cleaned up the band room for him. I didn't know what to say. Everything we had done, everything I had helped him with, I thought it was all to get everyone back together. But now I didn't know what to think. Before I could say anything, Mrs. Silton explained that it was okay if I only travelled on trains and was alone. I must have looked worried as Mrs. Silton smiled and continued, "If you really want these idiots to go with you, they can disguise themselves and catch the next train after you." Mr. Silton was dismissive, and said I'd get nowhere without proper ID. "They'll be stopping robots for even the tiniest of things," he said. "And a robot passport costs a fortune these days." "Well," said Mrs. Silton, "it's a good job I've got this." Mr. Silton looked confused and asked where Mrs. Silton got the money. "Sometimes," said Mrs. Silton, "when God slams a door in your face and shoots you twice in the shoulder, he opens a window." Mrs. Silton explained how Preston had given her the extra money. He said there was good money to be made selling pills and powder to people that distracted them from the world being an absolute mess. "Bedtime," said Mr. Logan as he carried his guitar into his room. Everyone else left one by one, leaving me stroking the dog.
Phrasing. Oh my god, it's so fast.
I awoke to the sound of Mrs. Silton making herself some breakfast. It felt very early, but I suppose it was just that we had gotten so late. Mrs. Silton gulped down the coffee, and with a reassuring smile she said, "Let's do this."
Let's do this! Falcon Punch.
The pedestrian tunnel was far longer than I expected, but it was nice. It gave me a chance to chat with Mrs. Silton. She told me she was from an upper-class family, and that her parents had nearly disowned her when she married Mr. Silton. But she said she really was happy being with her husband. And after all, as she put it, he did provide for her in this messed up world.
Maldio.
However, I couldn't help but laugh when she said how much she liked Mr. Silton's band. I steered the conversation onto the topic of the war. She explained she had been a nurse near some major combat, but she looked really sad, so I changed the subject. I asked her if the town was nice. Mrs. Silton smiled, and described it as a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Train tickets cost $1,000, so Mrs. Silton said I should trade in some of the things I'd cleaned so I could afford to travel. However, when we tried the door, it was apparent that the junkyard owner wouldn't be back for a while.
Collected all of it.
Mrs. Silton suggested I try to earn some money by other means. She said there were plenty of jobs in the town that a robot could do.
Help wanted.
The largest of the old ladies explained the job to me. I would be drying plates. She explained that old people couldn't afford to retire anymore, so she and her friends had to take menial jobs. All of the old ladies would be throwing plates at me as quickly as they could. I just had to catch and dry them.
Welcome to Uganda.
Alright. This game is so... Look at analog stick, dude. What do you want? Not this simulator. Yeah, this is what I do off stream. Throw plates at her. Smashed. Alright, I got 624 pounds. Thanks.
The rickety old door led
Star
into some
Wars.
kind of drinking establishment. But the bartender soon made it clear that, as he put it, they didn't serve my kind here, and that I would have to wait outside.
Isn't that the guy from Star Trek with the fucking eyebrows? Arcade. Can I make money here? Hungry Ghost. Insert coin to play. Wait, what? Oh, Ghostbusters. Oh, I get it. Do I have to cover the whole map with slime? I think so.
Welcome to Uganda.
Now this became a little bit... Okay, I need to stop using the fucking analog stick. I got the high score, world record. Space Invaders. Back in my day. fuck is that fucking McCree in the background? Oh, am I supposed to shoot him? Miss Legendary McCree. Okay. What the fuck? Oh my god, dude. There's zombies, they can't kill me. What the fuck? Oh my god. I got him! I did not get him. Oh my god. This is hard, chat, okay? Oh my. High score, world record. World record. Day off, Hungry Ghost. Oh, it's the same games. Alright, we need more money. Wanted.
Suddenly, as if by magic, the shopkeeper appeared. "Hello, sir," he said. "If there's something that catches your eye, just pick it up and bring it over to me."
Speedy clean. Vacuum. I can't afford this shit, man. I have 2,000. I have 600 bucks. Help wanted.
The foreman explained the job to me. I would be making bricks. The world needed rebuilding and these bricks would more than help. He said I would be on the end of the production line and would be shaping the final part of the bricks. All I had to do was hit the brick in time with everyone else.
Not bad. 800 bucks. All right. Fire. Good. It's also good. Awesome. It's awesome. Oops. Oh my. What do you mean? It's fine. Couldn't unlock the last room because we suck dick, but hey. I got a lot of money. Wait. I wanted to buy something for $1,000. What did I want to buy for $1,000? I forgot. Train ticket. Probably over here. $2,300. Help wanted.
The post lady explained the job to me. I would be sorting parcels. Many people were now separated by desolate battlefields and needed these care packages to survive. The parcels were either red or blue. I just had to stamp the right ones with the right color at the right time.
Okay, seems easy enough. Don't stamp the cat. 900 bucks. Now I could probably buy the other things if I get a little bit more money. Don't stamp the cat. This is $1,000 easy. How hard that next one is. Nothing but awesome. It's a sign. Oh my god, I jinxed it. Fucking jinxed it. 1,179. Alright, I can afford. Can't afford a more expensive one, but I can afford Speedy Clean. Yes.
Looking to speed up the cleanup?
Yep.
Great choice, sir. That will be 3,000. The fitting room was actually a robot upgrade facility. Once completed, the money was digitally taken from my passport account.
Welcome to Uganda.
Oh, let's try it. Oh, super speedy. Wait, where's the fucking train station? Here. 5 tickets for 4,000, 12 tickets for 8,000. Almost a dank engine. I don't know how long this game is, but I don't think we'll complete it today. I think we will have to continue tomorrow. I think.